What's going on, guys? This is Rob, and if I were a betting man, Aubrey Plaza is playing Morgan Le Fay in Agatha All Along, and the entire basis of the show is going to essentially bookend and provide the back-end explanation of everything regarding Wanda, Chthon, the Darkhold, all that kind of good stuff. Now, I do want to address a couple elephants in the room, right? Which is to say, like Aubrey Plaza playing Mephisto, or Nightmare, or Umar, or Cynthia Von Doom. I don't think any of that stuff is going to happen. For those of you guys who don't know who those characters are, Cynthia Von Doom, as you can probably imagine, is the mother of Doctor Doom, but the only real involvement of her character in Marvel Comics is that she served as a kind of explanation for why Doctor Doom was always trying to attain godhood, which is to say that she had sold her soul to Mephisto at one point in time, and when she died, her soul was taken by Mephisto. So Doctor Doom was always trying to attain godhood because he had brokered a deal with Mephisto that Doctor Doom could go to his realm and try to free his mother's soul once a year. Eventually, both he and Doctor Strange did that in the story Triumph and Torment, and then ever since then, Doctor Doom's been trying to attain power because he's just a dick. But it wouldn't make a whole lot of sense for them to come along and say, well, actually, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Cynthia Von Doom is a witch, and she's really powerful, and she's just been around for a really long time. Because how do you reconcile that with Doctor Doom? Truth to tell, it'd just be easier to say Doctor Doom's mom died when he was younger, right? And like that was it. Or maybe do the Cynthia Von Doom thing with Mephisto. But introducing his mom here as a witch in Agatha All Along, I don't really think it works. The character of Nightmare is not that dissimilar from the Dweller in Darkness from Shang-Chi in the sense that Nightmare is a fear lord. The idea behind Nightmare is that where the Dweller in Darkness feeds on people's fears, Nightmare feeds on people's dreams. And how powerful he becomes is relative to the number of people who are sleeping and how intent and potent their dreams or nightmares are. That's why you get stories like Marvel Overture, where he puts like the world or maybe the universe to sleep, feeds on their energy, and then becomes powerful enough to defeat the living tribunal. And then there's other stories where he's never that powerful at all. It wouldn't make a whole lot of sense to introduce Nightmare here unless there was some kind of Saint Elseworlds reveal at the end of the show where like it turned out Agatha and the world were asleep the whole time and Nightmare's just been feeding on their energy, but like why do this whole story in the first place, right? So Nightmare doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, although it would be kind of cool to see. And with the character of Umar, right? Umar is the sister of Dormammu. So Umar would most likely be introduced in a Doctor Strange film because Umar's always trying to like depose Dormammu and take his place as the ruler of the Dark Dimension. So imagine the post-credit scene from Doctor Strange 2 where instead of Clea, you have like Dormammu who contacts Stephen Strange and is like, bro, you got to come help me, man. Like my sister sees control of the Dark Dimension, and if you think I'm bad, well, wait till you see what she does, right? And so Doctor Strange goes to help. So introducing Umar in this show probably wouldn't really work. That's why ultimately I settle on Morgan Le Fay. And there's actually a big reason why, and it ties directly into the idea of the show. So one of the things to know about Wanda, and a lot of you guys probably already know this, just from your travels and watching the Marvel Cinematic Universe or getting caught up on all the stuff you need to know to get ready for Agatha All Along, is that in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, initially it was believed that Wanda got her powers from the Infinity Stones, and I'm pretty sure that's exactly how it was supposed to be in the MCU. But then you get WandaVision, and WandaVision establishes that Wanda is a Nexus being, which is to say, she seemingly already had that power. All the Infinity Stone did was just wake it up. It just activated it, right? And it also seemed that her power was tied part and parcel to the Darkhold itself, but we didn't really know how far reaching it went and how deep down the rabbit hole that went. And in fact, over the course of Doctor Strange 2 and even during WandaVision, it felt less like Wanda's power was tied directly to Chthon and more that Wanda was just using the Darkhold to access energy, which is entirely possible. The only thing that really matters for the sake of this discussion is that, as we saw at the end of Doctor Strange 2, that all the Darkholds across the multiverse were destroyed, and the Temple of Chthon, which had the Darkhold written originally in blood, basically caved in on itself, and we were all just kind of left to believe that Wanda was dead. But one of the things the Marvel Cinematic Universe has done is they've come out and said Wanda's actually going to return. Agatha Harkness explains how that happens. So as far as Morgan Le Fay goes, and the reason why I tie her into all of this is because in Marvel Comics, Morgan Le Fay is one of the oldest practitioners of magic, right? She's alive, or at least been alive, for something like 18,000 years, right? She's every bit as old as Agatha is in Marvel Comics, because Agatha is also thousands of years old. I don't know how many of you guys knew that. But the idea here, and kind of focusing on Chthon for a second, sort of, putting all these pieces together. In Marvel Comics, the way that it worked is that way back when on Earth, you just had elder gods. You had humans, but you also had elder gods. You had Chthon, you had Set, you had Sidorak and Utgard Thor, Utgard Loki, and a whole host of others. The idea was that, as crazy as it sounds, Gaia, who's like Mother Earth, essentially, basically gave birth to a kid named Atum in order to destroy all the elder gods because they had descended into a state of degeneracy and evil led by Chthon himself and started killing each other. And so because Atum was more powerful than all the other elder gods, he started killing all of them. And then once he was done, he took off and merged with the sun. Not even lying. Marvel Comics in the 70s, man, it was weird. But what matters here is that demons or elder gods like Chthon, Sidorak, Set, they took off to alternate dimensions and just stayed there, right? That Sidorak went to the Crimson Dimension, that Set went to the Serpent Dimension, I think, and then Chthon went to the Flickering Realms. But each one of them left an artifact on Earth that would either allow people to utilize their powers or would turn people into vessels for those respective elder gods so they could return to Earth. A good example of utilizing power was either Doctor Strange using the Crimson Bands of Sidorak, which is what you saw in Infinity War when they were fighting Thanos on Titan, or the Juggernaut, who uses the Crimson Gem of Sidorak and attains all of its power. In terms of becoming vessels, Set did this with the Serpent Crown, and Chthon did it with the Darkhold. Now, this is where Morgan Le Fay comes in, because for years and years and years in Marvel Comics, all you had was Chthon left the Darkhold on Earth, Wanda was touched by the power of Chthon, and now she's a vessel for his power. How do you connect the two? Avengers 187 did exactly that. And what it said here was that at some point in the past, Morgan Le Fay and her cult, known as the Darkholders, were messing around with the Darkhold's powers. They didn't realize what they were screwing with, and they certainly didn't realize how powerful Chthon was. So when they summoned him, that they brought Chthon with all of his powers to bear and realized they couldn't control him. And so they banished him to Mount Wundagore. And that's why when Scarlet Witch, Wanda, is born in Mount Wundagore alongside Pietro in Marvel Comics, she's touched by Chthon and then becomes a vessel for him, which manifests really in its full totality during the events of Secret Empire, when Captain America was a bad guy. But what's really important here, and kind of wrapping this back into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, all you would really say here is this. In the aftermath of Doctor Strange 2, Wanda didn't die. Yes, there was a flash of red light, but that's because her soul was whisked away by Chthon. Because in the time that she was messing with the Darkhold, what she didn't realize, like so many people who have put on the Serpent Crown or any number of things, is she was turning herself into a vessel for Chthon. Either that, or as a Nexus being, she already was. Or it could simply just be that by virtue of being a Nexus being, that she's the most prized vessel that Chthon could possibly achieve, right? That it's better than Doctor Strange or anything because of the level of power she has. But regardless of the motivation, she's currently trapped in the realm of Chthon, kind of pulling at that Cynthia Von Doom plot thread from Marvel Comics. But instead of Cynthia, it's Wanda's soul who's trapped. And who knows what he's doing with her soul down there, right? Torturing it, making her dance, making her watch reruns of Full House, who knows? But what we would see over the course of Agatha All Along is that whether Agatha knows it or not, that what is essentially happening is that they're on a journey through the Witch's Road that is going to lead them to Wanda. And ultimately, she's going to end up bringing Wanda back. Why? Because that's exactly what she said was going to happen at the end of WandaVision. Remember that conversation, right? When Agatha said, "You're going to need me." And Wanda said, "Well, then I'll know exactly where to find you." Wanda needs her. Agatha's going to grab her. And then what you're going to end up seeing, I think, between these two and potentially Morgan Le Fay herself, which I don't know if she's going to be a good guy or a bad guy, it's going to lead to the three of them forming a kind of new witches coven. I don't know exactly how that's going to unfold, but it would be cool, right? Because then you start to unify the magical side of Marvel. Now, as a huge X-Men fan, I think it's also important to recognize here, Marvel's in the process of building up the entirety of the X-Men line in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So how cool would it be if it turned out that like Aubrey Plaza is just Darkchild, right? The evil persona of Ileana Rasputin, the sister of Colossus, right? Like, that'd be dope. I mean, it would be so far out of left field, I don't even know how you would square that circle. And the fan in me would just be like, yeah! It would be so cool. The more practical person in me would be like, that's ridiculous. Like, I don't even know how they're going to make this work. But that's my argument here, right? That Aubrey Plaza is playing Morgan Le Fay, and that Morgan Le Fay working alongside Agatha, that the end of the show will basically see them traveling to the flickering realms of Chthon and ultimately retrieving Wanda from the afterlife. And that will lead into Wanda's whole storyline. And the show may even end with them like trapped in that realm with Wanda. And that's where Wanda's story picks up as part of Secret Wars, which is her and Agatha and Morgan facing off against Chthon. I don't know. But regardless, guys, let me know what you think down in the comments section. Thank you all for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, drop a like, and I will catch you all later. Peace.